Oh, it's a big day today. One of the warmest days of the year, but regardless, we're going to try and get on with it.
Being an engine down and steering down is not really a position that we want to be in. Are you demonstrating how to have a shower? Is this video going to go viral? The cabin of bad ideas.
It's slowly starting to eat me alive.
It's just consuming him as he disappears. We did a thing!
It worked. We did boating. She's still doing it. She's miles away, still skipping.
Last time on Red Seas, we sailed for 3 days from the Tuamotus to Tahiti. We narrowly missed a volcano and a low-flying plane on our way in, but now that those obstacles are out of the way, we can crack on with the reason we're here. Back on our Pacific crossing a few months ago, our steering cable snapped, and we've been surviving with a temporary repair as we've sailed through some of the most remote places on Earth. Now, we're hoping that can change.
Now that we are in the bustling metropolis that is Papeete in Tahiti, we can suddenly get access to a whole bunch of stores and parts so that we can fix up everything on the boat. So we're going to try and head to a chandlery today and see what boat jobs we can tick off the list.
Time it with the waves, time it with the waves.
The tide's really low, I've got to jump really high. Ah!
Graceful like a seal.
I won't be able to get back in again later.
So you don't get to see the fact that I just did that in a perfect leap like Superman. Oh, it's a big day today.
I am so excited. One of the benefits of being in a place where there are people means you can get post. And so we have new shoes!
Yay!
So yeah, this is a very timely replacement because my old ones, having worn them like every day for however many years, were starting to peel away a little bit. And so these are brand new, shiny new ones. We have always worn Gumbies and they saw that and they've sent us some new ones. So they're like made out of recycled car tires and stuff. It's all very green and eco-friendly and I get a lovely pattern. So I am stoked.
I'm really pleased. I went for the, I think these ones are called the Krakens. If
yeah.
not, I'm dubbing them the Kraken, but I think they are called the Kraken.
Oh, it's like resurrecting our spinnaker. That's really sweet.
Just like that.
In memory of, in memoriam.
In memoriam. So yeah, like for 3 years straight, well, actually before that, I used to wear Gumbies like all the time anyway, but for 3 years straight, we've been wearing their flip-flops. And as Brandon said, they just saw some of our footage and were like, hey, you guys are wearing our shoes. And offered to send us some fresh ones because ours were starting to fall to pieces. Like they really, really were.
And we did really try very hard not to get matching ones. So we've gone for a different shade of blue each.
And we're in public, like there are people around. She's still doing it. She's miles away, still skipping.
I'm just really excited I can skip and run about in these because you might remember when we were in Trinidad a couple of years ago, the front was starting to peel away and we tried to repair it with some 4200 and like clip them together. And they were just getting to the point where they were peeling away again. So every time I took a step, they were kind of making very loud flip-floppy noises, to be honest. I couldn't be very subtle walking anywhere, but I was starting to trip up and become a bit of a hazard to myself. So yeah, I can dance around in these ones. It's not the most exciting thing, but it is useful.
Well, okay, so yeah, this is a stupid one, but our shower on our transom broke a long time ago.
A very long time ago.
And we 3D printed some parts to keep it going, but they corrode faster in the sun, and so we need a new shower head. But this one has a little button on it, which is what we're looking for, because right now we have one without, so we're using loads more water, whereas this we can kind of scoosh as we rinse.
Are you demonstrating how to have a shower? Is this video going to go viral?
Hey, if you did it, this video would go viral.
One of the other things we need is like a little upgrade. So when we were in Panama, we bought these like huge fishing lures and they have clearly done us quite well with the things we've been able to catch. But we have lost a couple of them because the line that they were on was just not strong enough. So we've upgraded to like a metal line, but we can't crimp on, I don't know, the lure or the hook or the something. It won't join on. So apparently we need more parts.
You know it's good when you arrive just in time that they actually shut the shop.
I didn't think we could get out. I was sure those doors were automatic when we arrived.
They were wide open, yeah. The guy was like, yeah, you're going to need to do that by hand now. We've shut that down for the day. But hey, either way, we got the fishing parts we needed, we got shower parts, we got all sorts of useful things. Next up, I'm going to try and find a little pin pusher because that would make a difference. So for our steering system, we discovered that it uses something that looks a bit like a bike chain. And it's really tricky to get the links disconnected, you know, like a bike chain when the bike chain breaks. So, you know those little tools, if you don't, you're about to see one, I hope, where you can like push the pin out by just like corkscrewing something in. And not making any sense. Hopefully we'll find one and then I can show you what it does.
So it feels like in Tahiti you can get literally anything you want. It's expensive because everything has to be imported, but having been off-grid for so long, it's suddenly like, oh my goodness, we can really buy anything we want. I don't know if we've been this remote for this long before. It really is like 6 months since we were in Panama.
Well, that's it. Like Panama provisions, Panama shopping for parts, all has lasted this long. But I mean, this is the most built up it's been since then. We've been in the middle of the ocean and then we've been basically in tiny villages or uninhabited islands.
Yeah, because definitely in the Marquesas, I thought like, oh, we're reaching land after an ocean crossing. But you really couldn't get very much there at all. It was like, oh, there's a supply ship. Maybe it comes every 2 weeks if you're lucky.
It's an interest sport.
All right, detour. Well, no luck there, but we are on the right lines looking for like a sports shop. So they've said there's a store called Pacific Cycles and maybe they have the tool we need. So on we go. There's our win for the day.
That is seriously good. Okay, so we hit 3, 4 shops?
Something like that.
Basically, everybody kept saying to go to this place, but we kept not going there. So we finally did.
And luckily they were open just long enough for us to run across the city and we made it.
Seriously cool.
So now there's no excuse for us to actually get on with a bunch of jobs, I guess.
Yeah, I can make excuses.
Maybe we could do like just a musical montage of like, you know, the Rocky theme tune where we just get really busy and do a whole bunch of stuff. Ready? Go.
So the time has come that we have to finally fix-ish our steering system. If you remember back when we were crossing the Pacific, we had a fairly dramatic heart-stopping moment when our steering cable snapped on us in the middle of the night in a big storm. And we basically had no steering for 6 hours almost.
I just went blank. Like, okay, we're emergency tiller steering from the back step, but what next? Like, we don't have a spare steering cable just lying around that's exactly the right size.
We've actually not done any more to repair it in the last 2,000 miles. So it's probably about time we did something about that. And it's probably one of the warmest days of the year, but regardless, we're going to try and get on with it, climbing in engine bays and clambering around trying to rerun some dyneema. That's the plan anyway. We'll see how it works out.
So down in this cabin, which we now call the cabin of bad ideas, we had to pull everything off this shelf in the middle of the night to access the steering cable so that we could see where it was broken and try and make that temporary repair. So the helm is kind of directly above me here, and then the cable goes along the shelf and through to the engine bay in the other side. This is where the cable snapped originally. We sort of folded it over and clamped it shut to make a loop and then tied on the dyneema here, which goes all the way out to the engine bay. So we're going to try and see if we've got enough dyneema that we can pull through and replace this entirely. So it's lasted quite well.
It's done all right. Yeah, this is the temporary solution we did, which was done in the panic in the dark of night. But, basically, the steering cable that died has been replaced with this red-covered dyneema. So this is just a really strong line. It's like stronger than steel, technically. And then it was quite loose, so we added this turnbuckle, which lets us tension it up. But we didn't want to go too tense in case we were then going to damage the line. So hopefully there's enough loose in this little bundle that we can actually now fix what's happening in that cupboard and run it all the way to the helm.
So So at the time we were like trying to figure out what we could use as like this temporary steering cable, being in the middle of the ocean and having no extra spare parts on hand. We did kind of discuss taking apart our lifelines and hoping that one of them might just fit exactly. But actually the dyneema held up really, really well, as proved by the fact that we haven't replaced it even since we arrived in the Marquesas, because there was no steering cable to be bought.
Strangely.
So, yeah. Now that we know we can buy more dyneema and restock what we have on board, then we're just going to go ahead and make the whole thing dyneema, and it should be reliable.
I'm telling you, if you're on a boat and you're thinking, what do we need to take with us? Just a 100-meter drum of decent dyneema.
Oh, yeah.
You could fix anything.
Yeah, it really will do anything at all.
It's amazing.
I feel like that's a challenge now, and people are going to start telling us, right, how would you fix this with 100 meters of dyneema?
My leaking water tank. I'd lash it repeatedly round until I made an airtight seal and coat it in wax.
I would use the dyneema to poke it in the hole.
And that is why we don't set off solo. All right, this is loose, so we can pull through the excess and see if we have enough.
Fingers crossed.
Please.
So I'm going to head back down to the cabin and see what I can pull through. Ready?
Yep, ready. Okay, that's probably about as much as you're going to get, maybe a tiny bit more. That's you, I think.
Okay. That's a decent amount. We'll see if it goes the whole way.
So these U-bolt things, they were already here?
Yeah, so these little things, they were part of the original system, but they were on the other end where we've just like untied the dyneema. The first time we made this, we like zip tied this loop of steering cable together, and it didn't work at all. I was watching it like get looser, and just it wasn't holding any tension whatsoever. But like an hour later, we suddenly remembered that these U-bolts were on the original system and we were no longer using them because they were on the broken end. So we had to go back into the engine bay a second time, but it completely rescued our plan and meant that, yeah, this then held its shape and it could be tied onto the dyneema. And it's proven because it has lasted for however many months we've been sailing like this. And the whole thing's gonna ping apart. Pew!
Yay!
Yeah, you can already, it was starting to break as soon as we made it, but
wow.
Now we can take all this apart again.
Easy goes.
Yeah, I'm getting tangled. It's trying to eat me.
The idea is that we'll just tape the dyneema and the steel together again using this, and we won't leave it like that. I think we'll probably pull this through. So it's just so we can use the old steel wires like a fishing line to pull back the dyneema to where we need it, just because it's a really small hole and it's going to be really tricky figuring out where to thread that kind of loose dyneema. So this is like 5-year-old electrical tape, so it might not be too sticky. Okay.
Okay, the dyneema's going through now.
Okay. Get in. It's stuck.
Oh no! Well, I apologise for the lack of thrilling video here. You're just seeing the back of Ian's head as he climbs inside a cupboard. But
it's slowly starting to eat me alive.
It's just consuming him as he disappears bit by bit. Yes, it is a very, very tiny space. It's a very uncomfortable place to work in. This is why we didn't film it particularly well in the middle of the night underway. Yeah, we're in better conditions now, but it's still a little bit tricky to show you exactly what we're doing. Hopefully, it's all about to come together.
Yes, that worked.
Success. So chopping the end off helped.
Yeah, we had to lose the splice, which means redoing the splice.
In that position.
In exactly where it came from. All right. Oh.
You survived!
Whew. That is now going through the sheave at the bottom of the block. So I never really explained this before, but where the helm is, there's like a bike chain that goes up and round and back down again. And there's two ends of the bike chain. And that's where the steel wires, one going to port and one going to starboard, were attached. So when you turn the wheel, it would turn the bike chain. And then that would like shorten one side or lengthen the other, that kind of thing. And so that's what we've just undone. This is the wire that comes off the end of one side of the bike chain. And we're just going to change it out for the dyneema. And then we should have an entire leg. So one side of the chain, down through a sheave, out to the back of the boat, through another sheave, turning block thing, and then over to the rudder, which is where we started.
So that we can get the end of the bike chain out to get the steel cable off, we need to turn the helm all the way one direction to get as much distance as we can, as much length as we can. I can't remember which way I need to turn it.
Oh, slowly.
Wrong way?
I was saying slowly.
Sorry.
Okay.
That's really tight. I think that's as far as it'll go. Oh no, we're already at full extension with the direction that we wanted to go. So I guess we can't pull the chain out of the cupboard and work in perfect comfort. Oh well, Ian gets to continue with that.
It's funny when you think about it. So this wire has been in place for 20 years? 20 years.
Yeah.
And probably fairly abused in its lifetime, and you can tell. But it's just pulling back and forth on the rudders. I suppose when you start taking what was a charter boat and then you do 15 to 20,000 miles in it, you start to notice the wear and tear. What's hilarious is I mentioned bike chain because that's exactly what it is. In summer up here, we picked up one of these the other day. This is the thing I was trying to explain. This is a bike chain pin pusher. I don't know what the technical term is. Basically, it is it's this tiny little metal pin, and I'll put literally bike chain, which is what it is in here, along there, and then I'll push the pin out using this little lever movement.
Yeah, we couldn't figure out a way to do that without the tool. It was really annoying.
Try and figure out what this tool's called in French. Bike chain pin pusher machine thingy.
Exactly. Okay, the tool didn't fit, so attempt number 2.
We're beginning the course of brute force. Come on. Okay, so unable to get the pin out, but I think there's like a little, kind of like a coutier pin of sorts on one of the links. So I've just been communicating.
Asking nicely.
I've been communicating in some form of nautical language, and I think I've managed to break the coutier pin.
That doesn't sound good.
Which I think means I can get the end of this wire loose. Because I think this is just going to hold. I'm hoping that this means I can just push this pin through.
Yeah, so as always, there's like a 2-stage process. The first one is the very destructive, which is always Ian's job.
Yay!
But then we really need to hope that we can put this back together again, because being an engine down and steering down is not really a position that we want to be in.
Well, we're definitely down steering.
Oh, you sound joyous about that.
Woo!
Yay!
So,
good job.
Basically, this was the end of the wire going up to the chain I was talking about, and this was one of the links. And on the outside, it had this guy, and then that little
thing that we've lost.
Locking pin thing was like on it, kind of like that, but not bent and warped and trashed.
Okay.
So now that we've got the wire off, the idea is to then splice an eye in this dyneema through the chain link that's hanging off the helm, and then make it nice and tidy, pull through the slack back to the rudder, and then probably splice an eye on the end at the rudder as well.
To try and make this easier, we're going to pull through as much spare line as we can from the engine bay. We don't have very much at all, so I'm going to tape on another piece of dyneema just so that we can pull it back through again at the end, and hopefully we don't end up kind of having to rerun the line a second time.
Very, very hot today, and yeah, I need a slight break. Good news is the next job in the list, which is kind of usually the last job, but because of the nature of things, we're doing it now. Brownie has just pulled her sewing skills into the fold, I think that's the phrase, and she is working on splicing up. Not splicing, what are you doing?
I don't do splicing. I'm doing whipping, and I'm going to pretend that I know what that is. I saw one video on it once, and I've tried it a bunch of times, fairly unsuccessfully, because it looks really neat when I first do it, and within a week it's already like, I clearly don't do it tight enough because all of the lines are going loose and you end up with little hairy bits off the end, which is not the purpose. So what I'm trying to do at the moment is basically just neaten up this end where the cover finishes. So it's taped on at the moment, but if we take the tape off, that will just all unravel. There's nothing holding it in place. So I'm just going to like basically bind with thread around that to stop it unraveling. But I think maybe this will be okay because it won't be under so much tension, but when we've had like the bridle or the dinghy lines or whatever, when you put a lot of weight on them, it stretches, and then this doesn't really do anything. But we're going to try because because we like trying.
Well, this is old school too, right? Because you can buy like liquid whipping, can't you?
What? I think there's some cool way you can do it with like fire and melting stuff. That sounds fun.
Yeah, we're not going to let Brownie play with that quite yet. I'm terrified of letting Brownie near flames. Yeah, no, this will be great. I'm really pleased that you're spiking the dyneema with a blade.
What could possibly go wrong?
I don't know why I'm doing this. Brian just turned to me and said, time to burn the ends. It's a really bad idea.
Fire!
Should I hold the lighter?
No, you do the distraction bits. This is the neat thing. This is my job.
Set fire to our boat.
Yeah, that was a little bit more
That's our
burny
steering
than
cable.
It's fine.
Please be careful. That's enough. That's fine. That's
There. So see, it looks quite neat when we don't touch it. But we'll see how it lasts.
It's in a cupboard.
It's in the cupboard. No one's going to see it. It's fine. Lovely. We're not used to things going to plan.
That's genuinely, I'm really pleased with myself. That's probably the best one I've ever done. I don't do metal cymbals very often. I don't particularly enjoy splicing to them, but
That's so neat.
how tidy is that?
It's like a perfect fit.
Yeah, I don't think I can get it back out. Like, it went in perfectly, and like, there's the splice. It's really neat, and I buried the end, and I feathered the end. Very posh.
So beautiful.
Very posh.
And no one is ever going to see it. I can only apologise right now to anybody who comes to our boat in the next 6 months, because they're going to be getting a full tour of all of the beautiful work down in this cupboard.
Hey,
Ian is so proud.
I think it's done.
Woohoo! Celebration!
Yeah, get in there.
Okay, we're going to pull all of the loose, it's not wire, loose dyneema back to the rudder stock now and hope that we have enough to make one more splice at this end.
Woohoo. All right. So now we just have to do the final splice at the turnbuckle, and then we can tighten that guy up, which will put tension on everything. The only fun part here is dyneema. When it comes from factory and when you're working with it, you're kind of making it have some flex, it's like some looseness. So it needs to be tightened up, and the tighter it gets, the more kind of steel wire-like it becomes. It becomes absolutely rigid with no give. So that's where the turnbuckle comes into play, because I can only splice this so neatly.
So you're going to splice it like as tight as you can.
And then tighten up
And
even
then,
more.
okay, I got
And
you.
that should pull all the flex, the give out of the dyneema.
Yeah.
There's not a huge amount in this type, thankfully. We're kind of lucky in that respect, but there's still some. So
It's looking good.
last bit, we're tightening up, and then we are done.
All right, here we go. I can't remember which way the wheel needs to turn.
Try the
Is
other
it
way.
going?
Other way.
Other way.
And it's turning.
It's turning! We have steering! And if I turn the other way, yeah, that's not loose at all. When we first did the repair with just the zip ties, you would like turn the wheel by, I don't know, like 30 or 40 degrees before anything happened at all. It would like free spin for 30 or 40 degrees in either direction. This is not free spinning. Yay! We did a thing!
It worked. We did boating.
Look at us doing boating.
10. Still at 10 fingers. Okay, yeah, that seems to have worked. We'll see if the stretch comes back, because obviously it's going to tighten up over time, but hey, that didn't feel super heavy.
Perfect.
We win.
Nice one. And then we can put the shelf back together.
Shelf. I get to clean the workshop. Cabin of bad ideas.
You've never been so excited about cleaning.
No, but it's been so disorganized for so long.